that if I get the human form of life, let me chant the holy name. Then it says that if I'm happy or I'm distressed, let me chant the holy name. And then it says the next stanza that maybe the circumstances is favorable or unfavorable. Let me chant the holy name. And then it says, a satsanga, give up the association of the non-devotees and let me chant the holy name. And the last stanza is, let me take shelter at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and let me chant the holy name. What a wonderful song to meditate upon. So we will continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. And as I said, that one sutra that I have requested everyone to remember, you hear the 3:30 meditation at least 3 times, then that thought will sink into your mind and heart. I will repeat that. I have break down into 3 parts, that one line sutra. Vraje Sri Radha Krishna, worship Sri Radha and Krishna in Braj. Shwarati Mani Dao, create the attachment. Mani means jewel, and Dao means they are the one who will give us the attachment, the divine couple, Radha and Krishna. And the last part, Tvam Bhaja Manaha. Oh my mind, please allow me to do this. This is a wonderful prayer, Raghunath Das Goswami. So I'm going to ask you, I will name that, okay, Radha Shiva Mataji, please recite this. Then you have to be able to recite it. I'm not going to put you on the spot today. I'll give you a couple of days, maybe on Monday onward. Randomly, I'm going to ask. This is wonderful instructions that we should imbibe. Okay. Coming back to Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 2, the chapter title is Planting the Seed. And I'll read a couple of lines to bring up to the speed. As a boy, he had held his own Rath Yatra festival each year, imitating in miniature the gigantic festival at Jagannath Puri. And his father's friend used to joke, quote, oh, the Rath Yatra ceremony is going on at your home and you do not invite us? What is this? And his father would reply, quote, this is a child's play, that's all, unquote. But the neighbors will respond, quote, oh, child's play? You are avoiding us by saying it's for children? That's where we left. So we continue. Prabhupada fondly remembered his father, who had never wanted him to be a worldly man. How much we remember our life. Who had given him lessons in Mridanga, and who had prayed to visiting sadhus that one day the boy would grow up to be a devotee of Radharani. That should be the goal of a father and mother. If you are really a father and mother, we should do this. You know, I was just thinking about that I had the 2 near-death experience in my life. But then I was thinking, no, actually it was 3 times. Krishna is so kind. When I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and we have a long backyard, maybe 70 yards long. So the neighbor's horse, they always used to come in our yard to eat the grass or something. And my brother, he was 6 years older than me, so he might be 11-year-old and I was maybe 5, 6 years. And he had a long stick with the spin, you know, like in the bullock cart. They used to pinch the buffaloes to pick up the speed. and I have a small stick in my hand. So we were trying to hit him little so he can run away from our backyard. So I have a small stick, so I was closer to this horse, and my brother has a long stick, so he was away and he pinched it, and the horse just put his, kick me right on my chest where our heart is. Why I'm saying is there is some reason for it. You won't believe I become unconscious, and that exact footprints of this horse, all the blood was coming out from my chest, exactly as that footprint of this uh, horse. I remember that they were throwing all kind of waters. It was like a, cow dung type of floor we had in the house at that time, but still without thinking anything. When they saw me, they keep on throwing the water, and somehow or other I become conscious. Then I remember in my childhood when I used to go to the primary school, I used to have a lot of pain when a lot of clouds come, no sunshine, just the cloud before rain. And I have lots of pain I cannot bear. And teachers also came to know. So they used to let me go home. A lot of pain. So the we used to have one person who watch our town at night, and during the daytime also he check all the farms that nobody is stealing any crop or anything. So he saw me. I was crying practically because I can't bear that pain. And he's the one who gave me the solution. So if you have any problem with the bodily pain, he told my mother at that time that please take the pure ghee and churn the dates and let him eat in the winter time rather than, we fenugreek, we make that sweet methi pak in the winter time. And he said, no, you make this khajur pak from the dates, just the pure ghee and dates. Just make it warm in the ghee, and then you put it when it cool down, you can cut it in pieces. And still I remember since then, I ate for 2, 3 winters, and my pain gone away completely. So if you have anything happen like that, bodily pain, do this thing in the winter time to keep your body. All the problem comes in the body because of the cold weather. Otherwise, no problem. So don't run too much AC, Haribo. So one night, he told how he had met his spiritual master. He told how he had begun his own chemical business, but had left home, and in 1959 had taken sannyas. The boys were interested, but so ignorant of the things Prabhupada was talking about that at the mention of a word like mridanga or sannyas, they would have to ask what it meant. And he would go on conversational tangents describing Indian spices, Indian drums, even Indian women. And whatever he spoke about, he would eventually shine upon it light of the Shastra. He did not ration out such talk, but gave it out abundantly by the hour, day after day, as long as there was a real live inquirer. Very good. This is important. I send the text message to some devotees about this, touching the feet of the deities. So I like one devotees. I don't want to name, but she wants some clarification from me. that I have seen other devotee, can we touch the feet of the deity that we are going to worship? And I said, yes, you can, but do not touch any other deities. And then I was thinking that answer is not complete because she is so inquisitive. So then I write that hardly in my 33 years of deity worship, I may have touched the lotus feet of Krishna maybe 3 times in 33 years. So I said it's personal mood, but if you can maintain that, you can always make a prayer. You don't have to touch the feet. You make prayer. They are listening each and every word. Even they can understand the thought process going through our mind and heart. You don't have to touch the feet to disturb them. I felt that I'm disqualified. I wrote her like that. How wonderful it is, you know. Only that one devotee, I sent it to at least 6, 7 devotees, that message. Only one person inquire further. This is something that shows that you are listening, you know. But if nobody asks anything, how can we explain the things in detail? I like those devotees who inquire. Haribo. It came in my thought because it says as long as there was a real live inquirer, then we should spend all the time, and she deeply appreciated that. Thank you very much. I think let me see that if I can take it out here. Yeah. So conversation goes like that. Mataji, I would like to share what Srila Gurudev shared with me. Please do not touch feet of Guru and Krishna unless you are taking some vow to increase your sadhana. I thought to share with you as you are. This is I wrote to the head pujari, but I share with other. Please notice, I will not touch their feet till I'm committed for more. Otherwise, it is nothing but plain rituals. And rituals does not reward anything. Then she responded, one Mataji, thank you for sharing. I will definitely keep this in mind. Then she wrote, just for my clarification, does this include when dressing the deities? Should we not take their blessings before doing our service? I just want to understand. I know it's common to touch the feet of all the deities before we start our dressing services. So I responded, you may touch the feet of the deity that you are gonna worship, not any other deities. Then she responded, oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification. Because she wrote it and she's so sincere, then I responded, personally, I beg mercy, but I very rare have touched the feet of the deities that I even intend to worship them. But that's my personal mood. I wrote like that. Oh, okay, she responded. This is just what I have seen and thought was the norm. So I just wanted to understand better. Then I said, thank you for asking for clarification. It shows your sincerity. All glories to your service. And then she responded, thank you for your mercy in teaching me and deepening my understanding. So a lot of the time at the end of our session, I always say, anybody has any question, comment, corrections. But there is no question. At noon, the front room became a dining hall, and in the evening, a place of intimate worship. Prabhupada had kept the room with its 12-foot square hardwood park floor, clean and bare. The solitary coffee table against the wall between the two courtyard windows was the only furniture. Daily at noon, a dozen men were now taking lunch with him, and the meal was cooked by Keith, who spent the whole morning in the kitchen. At first, Keith had cooked only for the Swami. He had mastered the art of cooking dal, rice, and sabji in the Swami's three-tiered boiler, and usually there had been enough for one or two guests as well. But soon more guests had begun to gather, and Prabhupada had told Keith to increase the quantity, abandoning the small three-tiered cooker, until he was cooking for a dozen hungry men. The boarders, Raphael and Don, though not so interested in the Swami's talk, would arrive punctually each day just for prasadam. Just believe how kind Prabhupada was. Usually with a friend or two who had wandered into the storefront, Steve would drop by from his job at the welfare office. The Mott Street group would come, and they were others. The kitchen was stocked with standard Indian spices, fresh chilies, fresh ginger root, whole cumin seed, turmeric, and asafoetida. Keith mastered the basic cooking techniques and passed them on to Chuck, who became his assistants. Some of the other boys would stand at the doorway of the narrow kitchenette to watch Keith, as one thick pancake-like chapati after another blew up like an inflected football over the open flame, and then took its place in the steaming stack. While the fine basmati rice boiled to a moist, fluffy white finish and the sabji simmered, the noon cooking would climax with the chons. Keith prepared the chons exactly as Swamiji had showed him. Over the flame, he set a small metal cup, half filled with clarified butter, and then put in cumin seeds. When the seed turned almost black, he added chilies. And as the chilies blackened, a choking smoke began to pour from the cup. Now the chance was ready. With his cook's tongs, Keith lifted the cup, its boiling, crackling mixture, fuming like a sorcerer's kettle, and brought it to the edge of the pot of boiling dal. He opened the tight cover slightly, dumped the boiling chowns into the dal with a flick of his wrist, and immediately replaced the lid. Oh! The meeting of the chowns and dal created an explosion, which was then greeted by cheers from the doorway, signifying that the cooking was now complete. This final operation was so volatile that it once blew the top of the pot to the ceiling with a loud smash, causing bitter burns to Keith's hand. Some of the neighbors complained of acrid, penetrating fumes, but the devotees loved it. Terrible. When lunch was ready, Swamiji would wash his hand and mouth in the bathroom and come out into the front room, his soft, pink-bottomed feet always bare, his saffron dhoti reached down to his ankles. He would stand by the coffee table, which held the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, while his own associate stood around him against the walls. Keith would bring in a big tray of chapatis, stacked by the dozens, and place it on the floor before the altar table, along with pots of rice, dal, and sabji. Swamiji would then recite the Bengali prayer for offering food to the Lord, and all present would follow him by bowing down, knees and head to the floor, and approximately the Bengali prayer, one word at a time, while the steam and mixed aromas drifted up like an offering of incense before the picture of Lord Chaitanya. The Swami's followers bow their head to the wooden floor and mumble the prayer. Prabhupada then sat with his friends, eating the same prasadam as they, with the addition of a banana and a metal bowl full of hot milk. He would slice the banana by pushing it downward against the edge of the bowl, letting the slices fall into the hot milk. Prabhupada's open decree that everyone should eat as much as prasadam as possible created a humorous mood and a family feeling. No one was allowed simply to sit, picking at his food, nibbling politely. They ate with gusto Swami almost insisted upon. If he saw someone not eating heartily, he would call the person's name and smilingly protest, quote, "Why are you not eating? Take prasadam," unquote. And he would laugh, quote, "When I was coming to your country on the boat," unquote, he said, quote again, "I thought, how will the American ever eat this food?" And as the boys pushed their plates forward for more, Keith would serve seconds, more rice, dal, chapatis, and sabji. After all, it was spiritual. You were supposed to eat a lot. It would purify you. It would free you from Maya. Besides, it was good, delicious, spicy. This was better than American food. It was like chanting. It was far out. You get high from eating this food. Hari Om. They ate with the right hand, Indian style. Keith and Howard had already learned this and had even tasted similar dishes. But as they told the Swami in a room full of believers, the food in India had never been this good. Hari Om. So one boy, Stanley, was quite young, and Prabhupada, almost like a doting father, watched over him as he ate. Stanley's mother had personally met Prabhupada and said that only if he took personal care of her son would she allow him to live in the monastery. Prabhupada complied. He diligently encouraged the boy until Stanley gradually took on a voracious appetite and began consuming 10 chapatis at a sitting and would have taken more had Swamiji not told him to stop. But aside from Swamiji's limiting Stanley to 10 chapatis, the word was always, quote, "more, take more," unquote. When Prabhupada was finished, he would rise and leave the room, and Keith would catch a couple of volunteers to help him clean, and the others would leave. Occasionally, on a Sunday, Prabhupada himself would cook a feast with special Indian dishes. So Steve is explaining this in his own word as follows. Swamiji personally cooked the prasadam and then served it to us upstairs in his front room. We all sat in rows, and I remember him walking up and down in between the rows of the boys, passing before us with his bare feet and serving us with a spoon from different pots. He would ask, what did we want? Did we want more of this? And he would show us with pleasure. These dishes were not ordinary, but sweets and savories, like sweet rice and kachoris, with special taste. Even after we had all taken a full plate, he would come back and ask us to take more. There you go. Once he came up to me and asked what I would like more of. Would I like some more sweet rice? In my early misconception of spiritual life, I thought I should deny myself what I like best. So I asked for some more plain rice. But even that plain rice was fancy yellow rice with fried cheese balls. On off nights, his apartment was quiet. He might remain alone for the whole evening, typing and translating Srimad Bhagavatam, or talking in a relaxed atmosphere to just one or two guests until 10. So we can see sometimes Prabhupada was up until 10 o'clock. But on meeting nights, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there was activity in every room of his apartment. He wasn't alone anymore. His new followers were helping him, and they shared in his spirit of trying to get people to chant Hare Krishna and hear of Krishna consciousness. So in the back room, he worked on his translation of the Bhagavatam or spoke with guests up until 6. When he would go to take his bath, sometimes he would have to wait until the bathroom was free. He had introduced his young followers to the practice of taking 2 baths a day. And now he was sometimes inconvenienced by having to share his bathroom. Haribo, what a austerity. After his bath, he would come into the front room where his assembled followers would sit around him. He would sit on a mat facing his picture of the Panchatattva, and after putting a few drops of water in his left palm from a small metal spoon and bowl, he would rub a lump of Vrindavan clay in the water, making a wet paste. He would then apply the clay markings of the Vaishnava tilak, dipping into the yellowish paste in his left hand with the ring finger of his right. He would scrape wet clay from his palm, and while looking into a small mirror, which he held deftly between the thumb and the pinky of his left hand, he would mark a vertical clay strip of his forehead and then trim the clay into 2 parallel lines by placing the little finger of his right hand between his eyebrows and running it upward past the hairline, clearing a path in the still moist clay. Then he marked 11 other places on his body, while the boys sat observing, sometimes asking questions, or sometimes speaking their own understanding of Krishna consciousness. So we have the 12 places we put the tilak by naming the special name of that God. When we put, I follow from the lower back. That's Damodar, Om Damodara Namaha. Then on the back of the soldier, Om Padmanabha Namaha. And then on the right hand side, Om Vaishnavais Namaha, Om Vamanai Namaha. And then on the right, Om, man, it's so hard. When I do it, I remember, but in the morning it's, uh, anybody knows? On the right hand, what we call two names? Krishna is so kind to let us forget, so we remain humble.
Rishikesaya Namaha.
Om
Om
Madhusudanaya.
Rishikesaya Namam Padmadaya Namaha.
Trivikramaya Namaha.
No, no, on the
No,
right
it's
hand side is
Madhusudanaya. Madhusudanaya Namaha.
on the right hand side is the last one.
Madhusudanaya. Madhusudanaya.
Madhura Sudana Namaha, and what is the
Yeah.
other name?
Trivikramaya Namaha.
And on the left hand side,
It's
Om
Shridharaya Namaha and
and Om Padmadaya Namaha.
Hrishikeshaya.
Hrishikeshaya Namaha.
Rishikeshaya Namaha. Then Om Narayana Namaha on belly.
On
Yeah,
the
Om,
belly, Narayana Namaha.
right, and then
middle of
on the neck,
Bhagavan.
Keshavaya Namaha.
Govindaya Namaha.
Govindaya Namaha, Keshavaya Namaha, and Om.
And Vasudevaya Namaha.
Right, wonderful. Very nice. So Prabhupada is saying, my Guru Maharaj used to put on tilak without a mirror. Haribol. And the best way my Guru Maharaj told me that he used to have the round ball in his left palm, and then he will take enough drop of water to put on it, so the ball remain always dry, and he will just scratch his finger on the top with the water, and then he will put the dry ball again in the ball. But we do mix with the water and keep it wet, but that's how he taught me. He said, this is how you should put the tilak. Devotee, my Gurudev taught me so many things. He taught me how to swim. He taught me how to walk even. Because in Vrindavan, I was carrying the harmonium. It was a rainy season. So in the evening, he was giving a VIH class on the songs of Narottam Das Thakur. So he will play the song on harmonium and then he will speak on that song. So I had to carry harmonium. And it was raining, so he was holding the umbrella on both of us. And I was carrying harmonium and I cannot see at the bottom. So on the puddle, I put my feet and it splashed little, the mud. Luckily, it didn't fall on his dhoti, otherwise he said, but he said, don't you know how to walk? But, I was holding the harmonium in front. How can I see underneath? But that's how he said, you have to be extremely careful when you walk. You don't have to put in that puddle of the water. So he taught everything. Very well. So nice person. I miss him so much. I learned so many things just by staying in proximity of him. I don't have to read the scripture. Everything was I can learn from his life, how he was acting in different circumstances, different situations. I see it practically because I work as a temple president under him for 10 years, 1992 to 2002. Haribol. Prabhupada, neat or not neat, that does not matter. Yes, it was all neat. Prabhupada would then silently recite the Gayatri Mantra, holding his Brahmana's thread and looping it around his right thumb, and he would sit erect, silently moving his lips. His bare shoulder and arms were quite thin, as was his chest. But he had a round, slightly producing belly. His complexion was as satiny smooth as a young boy's, except for his face, which bore signs of age. The movement of his hands were methodical, aristocratic, yet delicate. He picked up two brass balls in his left hand and began ringing them. Then lighting two sticks of incense from the candle near the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. He began waving the incense slowly in a small circles before Lord Chaitanya, while still ringing the bells of the left hand. He looked deeply at the picture and continued cutting spirals of fragrant smoke, all the while ringing the bells. None of the boys knew what he was doing, although he did it every evening. But it was a ceremony. It meant something. The boys began to call the ceremony bell ceremony. Haribol. After bell ceremony, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it would usually be time for evening kirtan. Some of the devotees would already be downstairs greeting guests and explaining about the Swami and the chanting. But without the Swami, nothing could begin. No one knew how to sing or drum, and no one dared even to think the leading the mantra chanting without him. Only when he entered at 7 o'clock could they begin. Freshly showered and dressed in his clean Indian hand-woven cloth, his arms and bodily decorated with the arrow-like Vaishnava markings, Prabhupada would leave his apartment and go downstairs to face another aesthetic opportunity to glorify Krishna. The tiny temple would be crowded with wild, unbrahminical, candid young Americans. Dawn of 6:59, Haribam. I didn't look at the watch. We should be punctual in our practices. So thank you very much. And my homework is to recite this one-line mantra that I may call upon you from Monday. Tomorrow is Saturday. So my humble request, the devotee who joined first should start chanting, do not wait for me. And we should follow the same sequence. Whoever will join first, they will be the chanting first. And then for the other devotees that they are like me, not a IT person, you can click on the participants at the bottom, and then you will see on the right hand side that screen will pop up with all the names as they have joined. So look at that, who is chanting, because they have unmuted their devices, so you will see the person who is chanting. And if you are next, then that's your turn. Be prepared. And even though you may be on the half round, but when you start chanting, I want you to, just because in a whole day, one time you will be messed up, just that's okay. But you start chanting the new rounds. And we will continue until everyone who join and who desire to chant, we will give them the opportunity to stay long. But I have some commitment tomorrow, so I may have to leave by 8 o'clock. I can stay until 8 o'clock. Let me see, the timing will work. Yeah, I can stay until 8 o'clock. And if at 8 o'clock still there are some people, then I highly recommend that please stay on until everyone finished. Normally I stay, but tomorrow I have some appointment to take care of it. So I will have to log off at 8 o'clock sharp. Anybody has any question, comment, correction, or chastisement?